Tervetuloa. Welcome to the JYU for You Minicast. December 13th, 2024. What's going on? How are ya? How's it going? That was my best Bill Burr impression. I thought it would be kind of fitting for a podcast episodes where we don't have any guests, unless you count this, lovely little Santa's hat and the two plants around us. I got a level with you guys. We were planning to end the podcast for this year at least, last Friday, November 29th, and maybe we were going to have a special episode on December 6th, which didn't happen this year, but you never know. 2025, I'm rooting for it. And then we got a bunch of questions, i.e. I got a bunch of questions from different people that I get every week, like, hey, is there going to be an episode next week? Is there going to be an episode next week? Is there going to be an episode next week? And then I thought to myself, okay, maybe we can do a little mini-cast episode, me looking to this wonderful 4K camera. Now I know that it's actually a 4K camera. No guess, just me closely talking to you guys. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Where do we start? I'm usually not a big fan of doing stuff for Friday the 13th. You know how back in the day they didn't even have like the airplane seats for row 13 because, superstition. You don't want to do anything on the 13th. And I'm not a big fan of doing stuff on Friday the 13th. But, it's the end of the year and we have a lot of stuff to look forward to. If you guys are planning to apply to JYU, this is the sponsored part of the episode. Or I guess not sponsored part of the episode, but the part of the episode that I should do for the university. You can now actually start applying in 2025. As you know, 18 different master's degree programs, 2 master's degree programs that are collaborative all around Europe, and a brand new bachelor's degree program whose acronym I forgot what it stands for, but it's BIS, B-I-S, not BS, it's B-I-S. So I just wanted to take a moment actually and thank all of you guys for listening to us. I know that 12 episodes might not seem like a lot, but trust me, it was a lot of time and effort, both on the university's end to make it happen, on my end, my supervisor, and also all of the different guests that we had participate in the podcast this year. I'm incredibly grateful for that. And again, I really just want to point it out and say it again. I'm really grateful for all the guests. They say the most valuable resource you have is time. That's the only resource you can never get back. Forget about the money. You're going to get the money sooner or later. And it's not like we can take it after we're done with this, this earthly existence. But the one thing that you can never get back is the time. So I'm really grateful for all of the guests who took the time to share their stories, have good conversations with us. And I'm also really grateful for all of you guys. Every episode there are more and more viewers on the different platforms, or listeners, I guess, depending on the platform. And I just really want to say that I'm very grateful that you chose to share your time with the University of Jyväskylä, myself, our different guests, and I hope you're going to join us in 2025. As a little bit of a preview, since almost every week I get a question of, who's going to be the next guest? Who do we have next? There are, I believe, 3 different people that I can indirectly confirm. I can't say who they are, but I can give you a little bit of a flavor of what are we going to start off with in 2025. One of my goals for 2025 is to just give you guys a little bit of an overview of how a university of education in Finland doesn't just restrict you to Finland. It gives you opportunities to go abroad because the Finnish education is pretty well respected all around the world. Chances are, if you heard about Finland, it's because the lower education system, the elementary schools, the basic elementary school education has a really good reputation. So we're going to have somebody who's going to talk to us about how he was able to go from Finland to the United States of America, where he's absolutely crushing it right now. I hope we're going to have somebody who's going to also talk about their experiences working in Germany, with a degree from JYU. We're also going to talk about the educational legacy that the University of Jyväskylä has, and also we're going to hopefully have a little bit of an opportunity to praise my favorite faculty, the Faculty of Mathematics and Sciences. As some of you know, I studied mathematics here. It was a lovely experience, and I'm currently studying physics here, which is an experience. And this is something that I wanted to take a moment right now. So you guys get to see a lot of the different guests who come on the podcast, but for every guests that we've had on the podcast, I've also had 3 or 4 different people that I've spoken to just to see if they might be interested to have a conversation. And oftentimes I've had some of the most interesting, fascinating, maybe even one could say learning experiences for all of these conversations. And especially the ones where people, for one reason or another, weren't able to come on the podcast, be it, schedules didn't work out, as with one very important individual who I hope we could get in 2025, uh, or for one reason or another. But something that I've kind of like, that I wanted to take a moment now and just reflect upon it, is that as you guys listen to this podcast, as you guys explore the University of Jyväskylä, you're obviously getting one perspective. And clearly, it's a very positive perspective that you want to get. But I also really want to point out that if you dig long enough, if you dig deeply enough, you're probably going to find some sort of a negative perspective. You're going to hear something that you might think, maybe I don't click with this. Maybe this isn't the place for me. And those perspectives are absolutely valid. And one of the reasons why we do have the podcast and everything is we want to make sure that there are as many perspectives as humanly possible that you guys can listen to. But always remember that a perspective is just a perspective. When I tell you something is good, that's my perspective. When somebody tells you that something is bad, that's their own perspective. And at the end of the day, you want to take the risk, if you feel comfortable with it, and just see if you can create your own perspective, your own experience. And at the end of the day, when you have an experience, you never know, is it a positive experience? Is it a negative experience? It's going to take you years and years and years to figure out if something was good, if something was bad, or if something was just plain amazing. Or, you can go the philosophical route and just say, like, well, in the infinitude of the universe, all of the possible things that could have happened, this one particular thing ended up happening. Be grateful that it happened because it's the thing that happened. So it's the meaningful thing. Just accept it and keep on going around with it. So for the next season, some of the inspiration that I take for this podcast comes from, as I mentioned at the beginning, this lovely bald ginger Bill Burr. Bill, please come to Finland. It's a lovely place. You should do another show here, but don't do Helsinki. Come to the heartland. Come to the center. We got a better sense of humor here. Conan O'Brien, and I'm a big fan of anime. And in anime, you might be familiar with this one show called Attack on Titan. And there, it was really popular to break up the last season, in multiple different chunks. So that's what we're going to do with season 2. December is the time to break up things. We're breaking up the year. We're breaking up the semester. We're breaking up the school year. We're breaking up, the exam seasons and whatever. So we figured let's break up season 2 into the first part and the second part. Though, because I don't want to go with the whole Attack on Titan route where we're like, final season part 1, final season part 2, final season part 3, final season part 4, part 1, we're just going to seamlessly transition from part 1 of season 2 to part 2 of season 2 in the next semester. For the rest of the year, since I know that we have like a bunch of first years that listen to the podcast, I hope that your guys' semester went as well as humanly possible. Be proud of yourself for going through the first semester. It's never easy to change for some of you. You changed an entire education system. Some of you just went from maybe high school to university right now. And however it was, just be proud of the fact that you gave it a shot. You tried something new. And at the end of the day, whatever you did, it was great. Don't stress too much about the exams. Trust me, nobody's going to ask you in 10 years, how did you do on that introductory microeconomics exam? Nobody's really going to care. They're going to care about how competent you are as a worker, how kind you are to other people, and how overall pleasant you are to work with. For my colleagues that are currently working on their thesis, because I've definitely had a fair share of stress thesis conversations, trust the process, trust your advisor. It'll be fine. It's a stressful process because it's supposed to give you a flavor of the real world. And sometimes the real world can be pretty stressful, as we all know. So just let it be. Do as much as you can. Don't criticize yourself for not being able to do the things that you wanted to do. It's a process, You can't go to the gym and lift 500 pounds, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe, in his prime. But you got to start off somewhere, If it's 5 pounds, start off with 5 pounds and keep on progressing. Don't break your back trying to do something that it just wasn't the time to do. The time will come, and you should accept it. And speaking of the time coming, if you do decide to come to the University of Jyväskylä, I hope that you will make that decision because you feel it is the right one for you. And whatever your experience is here, I hope you will treat it as a part of your life, something that is supposed to be a learning experience, and something that you will hopefully be able to reflect upon later on in a way that you find the most meaningful for you. So with that, I'm wishing all of you guys a very happy holiday season. However you celebrate it, I hope you will find the time to take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. If you're in a foreign land, quote unquote, and you might as well feel alone, just remember that there's probably another person that feels exactly like you that also might feel a little bit lonely. So say hello. You never know with whom you're going to have a wonderful conversation that might lead to, a lifelong friendship. Thank you guys again for being with us in 2024, and I hope to see you on the other side in 2025. Kiitos ja moikka. Cheers.